The Logitech G Pro has been on the market for around 2 years now, and just recently I got my hands on the G Pro racing wheel and pedals. In this video we'll see how well it actually performs on the track, explore what this product has to offer, and is it really worth it. I'll do some competitive testing and see if it's a real contender against the established brands, and most importantly, is it worth the price. So let's begin. But now, who is this wheel for? The wheel is designed for a wider audience, but console players will likely be the most interested. Competitor brands have stronger ecosystems and more aggressive pricing, but since the console market has limited options, the G Pro Racing Wheel has strong potential, especially for PlayStation users. While the bundle isn't cheap, upgrading from a G29 or similar entry-level wheels is a significant improvement. However, for PC sim racers, this competition is much fiercer, with much wider range of choices, but the Logitech has something other brands don't, and that is TrueForce. TrueForce is Logitech's next-level force feedback technology, processing game physics and audio in real time at 1000 Hz and even up to 4000 Hz in some cases. Unlike traditional force feedback, which just sends basic vibrations, TrueForce connects directly with supported games, adding way more detail to sensations like, for example, engine RPM changes, road textures, and of course, tire slip and grip. So you're pretty much getting the real-time feedback when you're losing traction. I'll be honest, I wasn't sure how much of a difference this would make, but after testing it, I was genuinely impressed. The added detail made the experience more immersive than most other wheelbases I've used. And to clear up a common question, TrueForce isn't a separate system. It's fully integrated into the force feedback, enhancing what's already there, rather than just adding a separate layer of effects. This advanced integration makes TrueForce a standout feature, but when we're really looking at broader market, how does the G Pro wheel actually compare to its competition? The console direct drive market is very limited, with only a few manufacturers offering PlayStation certified wheelbases. In terms of pricing, the Logitech G Pro wheel is positioned at €749 in Europe and $699 in the United States. The pricing difference makes it a better deal for the US buyers, at least for now. But let's see what you actually get in the box for that price. I have to say that the Logitech G Pro has done an excellent job with packaging and presentation. The box is well designed and the wheelbase and accessories are securely packed. Included in the package is the wheelbase, the cables as usual, the power and the USB, and the desk mounting accessories. The packaging is premium and protective, one of the best I've seen in terms of presentation and security, something like the design and the build quality. The design is sleek and professional with high-quality materials that give it a premium feel. However, there are a couple of drawbacks. The stitching on the wheel is a bit rough, which can be a little bit annoying during longer driving session. The wheelbase size isn't massive, but still, I had to make some adjustments to get it positioned just about right on my rig. Those are small issues, but worth considering if comfort and setup flexibility are very important to you. Unfortunately, the same can be said for the G Pro pedals. While they really look and feel premium, their performance leaves a little bit of room for improvement. The Logitech G Pro pedals have a great build quality and professional design. They feel solid and they are really well made, giving the impression of a high-end product, which again, it should be. However, they lack built-in adjustments for travel and stiffness. While the brake pedal includes the elastomers to partially address this, I found a couple of key issues. The brake pedal feels too soft in the first 10% of travel, regardless of which elastomer combinations or the software settings I used. The throttle pedal has a very similar issue. There is very little resistance in the first 10%, making it too easy to press. This seems to be due to the softer springs used in the pedals. Despite testing all available elastomer combinations and of course included springs, the issue remained, especially on the brake pedal. Adding a dead zone can mitigate this, but for me, dead zones are a no-go. Well, to be fair, I get it. This product is made for general public and there's never going to be a perfect pedal set that suits everyone's preferences. Logitech likely designed these pedals to be a well-rounded option for kind of a broader range of users, which does make sense. But at this price point, I really would have liked to see more built-in adjustment options like the ones that you see with the other manufacturers in the same price range. I just wanted to address this part. While most of the drivers may not mind any of this. I found it extremely difficult to achieve the level of consistency expected from the premium pedal set like this one. To address this, I installed a small rubber piece inside both brake and the throttle cylinders. This simple tweak significantly improved the initial response and stiffness, making the pedals feel more controlled and predictable. With the pedals sorted, it was time to set up the G Pro racing wheel, and thankfully, that part was actually pretty simple. It's basically just plug and play. However, finding the right force feedback settings takes some time. Logitech's recommended settings serve as kind of a good starting point, but they are not necessarily optimal for every single user. One critical note: force feedback sensitivity at 1 is just not for me, at least while using less than 70% of the total force feedback. Setting it this low significantly reduces the detail and responsiveness, making the wheel feel dull. I strongly recommend adjusting the sensitivity to maintain control rather than relying on the default settings. So think of those settings just as recommendations, rather than a go-to option for everyone out there. So try to find something on your own, see how it works, test a couple of times and find something that suits you. But the main question now is how this wheel actually performs on the track. The first drive with the G Pro wheel was decent. The TrueForce feedback provided a unique feel, but I did notice a slight delay in force feedback compared to my usual, I'm going to say it, more expensive wheelbase. After a couple of days of testing, I found its performance to be consistent, but some incidents in races felt like they could have been avoided with a more responsive wheelbase. To show exactly what this wheelbase can do, I did a few tests. First, I did a few stints at Fuji International and then compared that to my older wheel that I normally use. Then I did a few runs at Spa-Francorchamps to see exactly what is the difference in the longer lap in a very competitive environment. All in all, the base proved out to be very consistent, but I can only talk about consistency because the conditions were always changing in the qualifying at Fuji. But the base proved out to be very consistent and I did some very competitive laps. This testing led me to Spa-Francorchamps when I did 10 laps of Spa, and this is what happened. I placed in the top 0.09% of all of the drivers in this event, finishing 89th out of more than 91,000 players that entered this event. This just confirms that this wheel can deliver top-tier performance in a very competitive environment. However, I did some tests with my usual wheel and I noticed some differences, which just proved my theory from the first part of this video. I also wanted to prove to myself that this wheel is actually worth it, that is capable of delivering incredible lap times. So that's exactly what I set out to do. I ended up placing in the top 0.09% of all of the drivers out there with an average lap time of 2:15.723. My best lap was 2:15.339. Later, I tried the same test again with my usual set of pedals and a wheel. The average lap time was 2:15.505 and the consistency took a little hit. I was pushing harder and that meant every little mistake counted more. Still, I managed to get P27 in the world, which pushed me into the 0.029% of all of the drivers out there. But I have to mention this. Surprisingly, I haven't seen anyone pushing this wheel to its limits at a higher level. While there are plenty of review videos, most focus on general impressions rather than deep performance analysis. With that said, this will be my conclusion. The Logitech G Pro wheel is well-built, high-performance direct drive system with a solid force feedback and premium design. And I gotta say it, an easy plug-and-play setup. However, it does come with a couple of drawbacks. The force feedback response could be slightly sharper, the pedal set lacks hardware-based adjustments, and the stitching on the wheel may cause some discomfort over longer sessions. For console players, especially for those on PlayStation and on Gran Turismo 7, this is one of the best available options on the market due to its limited competition in this space. While the pricing is high, it offers a huge step up from any entry-level wheels, for example like G29. However, for PC sim racers, the competition is much tougher, with alternative brands offering, I'm going to say it, better ecosystems and often more competitive pricing. All in all, I can say, in the end, thank you very much for watching and please let me know what are your thoughts on this product. So guys, thank you once again and I'll see you next time.